Listen, guys, you probably noticed the change in my backdrop here in the last couple videos, and yeah, our third kid is basically due any day now, so there's actually a pretty good chance that by the time you see this, we'll actually be at the hospital. But anyway, in this video, I'm going to share my game plan for continuing to make fitness progress with a newborn. I think it's going to be helpful for you guys as you have or expand your families to see my thought process. Because while I don't really lean into the, dad fitness thing that much, the whole reason that you're watching this now that you've heard of me is because of progress that I've made as a new dad. So I've got a little bit of insight in how to optimize this process, and that's what I want to share with you today. And if I do manage to get a workout in today, I don't know if I'm going to, but if I do manage to get one last workout in, I'll try to throw some footage from that over this video just to give you guys something for your attention span. Anyway, my immediate plan for the foreseeable future is to start cutting. Basically, as soon as my wife goes into labor through approximately 5 to 6 months, I'll explain that endpoint timeline a little bit later. But yeah, as you would imagine, childbirth and then the newborn stage is all hands on deck. Obviously, you're not going to get any workouts in at first. So obviously, any sort of hypertrophy or exercise related goal is going to be out. I did some stretching last time at the hospital, so I'll probably do that again. But basically, any goals that require exercise are going to be completely out of the question in that first little bit, right? So, obviously, if you want to continue making progress, the only option is cutting, and that's what I plan to do. Now, people might think, that's crazy because when people think of cutting, they tend to think of, weighing food and Tupperware full of meal prep, things like that, right? A bunch of time intensive stuff. But the reality is, it takes zero time to eat less, and it takes zero time to not eat at all, and that's what I plan to do. I'm probably going to fast, throughout the whole hospital experience at least. So not only fasting is something that you can do to improve your fitness during this time when you can't do anything else, I think it's actually going to be helpful. The big challenge as a dad helping through labor and then the first couple days with the newborn is just being up at all hours to take as much workload off your wife as possible so she can rest. Obviously, she's still gonna have to feed the kid and all, but you can do changing, swaddling, rocking them to sleep, and everything as much as you possibly can, right? And being fasted honestly works way better for that than being fed. Being able to pop up with alertness whenever necessary. The main downsides to fasting normally are the difficulty sleeping, not being able to fully relax. But that's honestly exactly what you want during this time, right? You're not supposed to be chilling. You're not supposed to be relaxing. You're supposed to be just switched on, ready to do whatever needs to be done at all hours, right? So it's perfect. Not only are you, well, in my case, I'm kind of building the physique that's going to help me support my family, but also I'm just keeping the state of mental readiness necessary to just, be up at all hours. So it dovetails perfectly, right? And I've also set myself up for the cutting phase to be beneficial because I've been bulking right up till now. Made some pretty good progress. Got my both arms are now over 17 inches, 17 and a quarter, and like maybe a little under 17 and a half right now. This one's like a little under 17 and a half. Got it to 18 inches pumped one day. That was pretty sick. But anyway, also brought up the right arm, which was weaker. I think it's got a little bit of a better peak. I'm not showing it in this lighting the best. But anyway, yeah, so we made some good progress. I flex too much in these videos. But anyway, yeah, so now a cut is beneficial, and I did that intentionally, right? Got plenty of fluff to lose to be back in perfect shape. And anyway, that's what I recommend most dads do. Just kind of bulk, you know, your first kid, like bulk right up to that, just so that you have something useful to do in terms of your fitness afterwards, right? You just bulk up till your kid's born. You're not going to have time for anything hypertrophy related for a little bit, so you might as well get it done beforehand, right? So anyway, I'll probably fast the entire time we're at the hospital, maybe for the entire first week, whatever seems most appropriate. Both to be just maximally alert and on duty at that time, as well as just getting back into shape as quickly as possible. Over the past couple of years, I've tended to fast longer as my cut goes on, because obviously I'm getting into something new and experimenting with new stuff. So the more comfortable I get with it, the longer I've tended to go. But now that I know that quite long fasts work well for me, I think it's going to probably be better to do the longer ones earlier on in the cut. Um, the more fat you have, the easier it is to for your body to mobilize the energy from it. The easier it feels on you. So that seems like a better approach, is to take care of a huge chunk of it right off the bat when it's easiest to get rid of the fat, right? And then minimize diet fatigue because you've already got a good portion of it. You're cutting down the length, right? And then use maybe a more slower and gradual approach from there, depending on how lean I end up deciding to get, I may actually go back to traditional dieting approaches like counting calories, or at least just kind of like eyeballing it, but not completely fasting during the final stage, because I do think that there is going to come a point where fasting is probably too drastic for the amount of fat that your body has. I'm not sure exactly where that is. I don't think I've quite gotten there myself, but if I do get leaner than I usually do, that might come into play. I mean, there's a reason that bodybuilders use extremely slow approaches toward the ends of their cuts for competition, right? Now, I'm not going to try to get that lean, obviously, but I do think there comes a point where maybe complete fasting is probably a little bit too drastic. So anyway, I'll probably start off with my longest fasts near the front and then taper them off towards the end of the cut. Another reason for that is I'm hoping to get in a couple of cool training collabs this spring. Both with guys who are pretty visually impressive, so I definitely need to get back to looking presentable fairly quickly so I don't get just completely mogged. Hopefully, I can also get some sunshine, although now it's starting to rain, so that's probably unlikely. Anyway, what am I going to do for training during this? Well, first, I'm not going to expect to get too much of anything in. I mean, I can maybe stretch or do some push ups or something, but not a whole lot of serious training, obviously. When I do start to get time windows for training again, what I expect from past experience is to have a lot more short time windows than long. 1.5 hour workouts are probably not going to happen for a while, but there will be plenty of like 20 to 30 minute time windows that I can use. So, planning to train like half an hour or even 5 to 7 days a week. Probably not going to get 7 days a week, but a decent number of sessions per week is actually going to be more realistic during this time than just even like three 1 hour sessions, just because those long time blocks you're typically not going to get. So as far as what to fill that in with, that's kind of up to you. Here's my philosophy. I'll share the philosophy of what I specifically intend to do later. So my philosophy on it is do something that you can actually usefully do with that time frame. A lot of the dad fitness stuff emphasizes trying to train your whole body in a limited time frame with stuff like kettlebells, burpees, metcon, stuff like that. But I really dislike that approach. It can work to maintain, I guess, but you probably aren't going to make any kind of progress with that because you're not training any one thing well enough to actually produce results, right? Instead, what I prefer to do is just do something that I can actually usefully do well in that time window. So not trying to half-ass everything, but just trying to whole-ass
Hey,
something,
buddy.
right? It could be, a comprehensive hypertrophy workout for a smaller body part. You could definitely get neck, forearms, maybe calves, maybe arms done in that time frame, depending. Could be a mobility workout for a particular region, or it could just be some useful training on a bigger lift, just one lift per session, but actually hit that lift well in a way that's going to make progress, right? Um, so for me personally, this time, I'm probably going to lean towards the latter two. I've been focusing a lot on hypertrophy for the past couple months, so I'm going to try to work up and train some lifts that I haven't touched in a while, as well as just reprioritize the mobility workouts. I'm not expecting a whole lot of structure here. I'm just going to be opportunistic about it, just training what's fresh whenever I get the chance. Um, Now, that much randomness wouldn't necessarily allow somebody to make new progress. You'd probably have to have more repetition, more structure still, just with a limited number of things to progress at one time. But in my case, I have so much that I've trained on but not touched in a while that I think it'll be beneficial for me to take some time just to get a bunch of inputs I haven't experienced in a while and just keep those capabilities fresh, if that makes any sense to you. And yeah, I mean, I definitely need to put family first, then business, then leanness. So training progress can't exactly be on my front burner here, but that familiarization, sorry, is a useful thing that I think I can do during that time. Anyway, so I'm planning to be on this kind of cutting slash random strength and mobility footing for the first maybe 6 months or so. Why that particular time frame? Well, the first 5 to 6 months could be a little bit chaotic. I mean, your wife's going to need you to take care of the kid as much as possible so she can recover. The kid's more likely to actually accept being put down to nap by you, the dad. Nap schedules are going to be all over the place. So it's going to be really hard to plan a consistent workout schedule or expect to get workouts over maybe 30 minutes or so. But again, you're going to have plenty of time, not to eat or to eat less because you always have plenty of time for that no matter what, right? And also for me personally, I need to focus on some other projects. I'm trying to get a short ebook out on fasting strategy as well as some other dietary approaches to make leanness just easy and sustainable for regular folks. And then after that, I'm going to try to set up an app for you guys using, I think, probably Trainerize that'll give you access to a whole bunch of different programs for me to choose from for a variety of different goals. I also have like forums that you guys can touch base with each other on, as well as, the opportunity to do form checks, ask questions, get advice from me. So, a lot of actual interaction with me without it being full, like one to one coaching. So I'll be able to give it to you guys for a much more affordable price. Um, anyway, with all that, I've also got still a backlog of folks who want to do actual one to one coaching that I haven't been able to take on, obviously, right now. So I'll need to get on that too. So, anyway, point being, it's going to be a lot for me to do during this time anyway. But apart from that, why did I pick 6 months? Well, ideally, if family and business are going well, babies in the 6 month to a year age are actually about as chill and easy as they're going to be until they hit 5 years old or so. They generally have a somewhat consistent nap schedule, and they really aren't all that demanding. They kind of just let you wear them around while you do whatever you want. If you put them down, they're going to start learning to inch, then crawl and walk during this time frame, but their movement's pretty controllable. They're not just going to sprint around, tearing up the house the moment you look away, right? And they're extremely agreeable at this age as long as you meet all their very very reasonable needs and requests. They're surprisingly reasonable as compared to older kids in this age. Like, it makes sense. Like, I want to be fed, I want to be changed, I'm sleepy, like, I want to look at this, I want you to pay attention to me. It all makes complete sense, as opposed to when they turn like 2 or 3 and it becomes as unreasonable as humanly possible. Anyway, they're cool, right? So if I'm gonna do another bulk and get my neck and at least one of my arms up to 18 inches, this would probably be the best time for it. And again, that is if I have the time available for that kind of training, which is contingent on some other things. But anyway, by the way, this to touch on that previous point, this video isn't supposed to be just about me. I'm also trying to make it valuable for you. So I want to impress upon you the importance of really enjoying that 6 month to a year stage. That's a really great stage. I mean, the kids are super cute, they're super likable. They start to actually do a bunch more, interaction. They learn skills, and they're just easy to like. And they also give you about the most freedom that you're going to have for a while. They usually nap on long car rides if you time them right. So you can go further. Not that you can't with older kids too, but you kind of have to get their buy-in on stuff, right? If the kids want to go somewhere, older kids, they'll, you can set that up too, right? But you have to. It more depends on if they want to actually do it or not, right? But the, little kids, the older baby stage, go wherever you want, right? If you want to go on long hikes with them, they'll just chill in the carrier. They're happy just to look around. They don't need that much. You take them wherever you want, as long as you obviously bring, diaper changes, food and stuff. They're good to go, right? They're not eating that much solid food at the beginning of that stage, obviously. But anyway, point being, it's way easier to go on a hike than once they can learn to walk. I mean, you might think, oh, once they can walk, it'll be easier, but no, because then they want to pick where to go, and it's usually not going to be where you want. Now, don't get me wrong, that's fun too, but you're going to have to go at a very different pace. So if you want to get some long hikes in, just go where you want to go. The 6 month to a year stage is definitely the time to do it for a while. Now, as far as all the other stuff they tell you about having a kid in regards to fitness, like sleep deprivation, stress, how am I planning on accounting for that? I'm really not. Sleep deprivation just doesn't have the kind of negative effects on your fitness that they try to scare you with. If you get the workouts and the calorie level necessary to make progress, you still make progress. I really haven't noticed sleep deprivation to do that much, honestly. I'm not saying it does nothing, but it doesn't do nearly as much as some people would fearmonger you about. You can still make progress, right? What about the stress? Well, hey, I don't think stress does that much to your fitness either. But honestly, kids aren't that stressful. If you've dealt with a modern economy, you've probably dealt with something more stressful than having a kid. Now, first, let me say we've been blessed by not having any health scares. I'm sure that would be horrible. And secondly, I'm not saying kids are no stress. They definitely are. But the regular experience of taking care of a child isn't worse than a lot of what you have to deal with to navigate the modern economy. And a lot of the stress that modern parents complain about has more to do with just having to make more and more money just to stay afloat. Atomization and isolation of modern life, making it hard to take care of the kids. The kids themselves are fine. It's having to take care of them at a time when both parents have to make money that would have previously made you wealthy just to have a house and health insurance, and you have no friends or family within 1,000 miles because everybody moves away for college and their careers and stuff. that's why it's stressful, right? The kids are great. It's what else has changed is the problem, right? And that's why I don't usually do the whole fitness for dads thing. I don't emphasize it all that much because I don't think that should be a particularly special thing. Now, there obviously are a lot of special challenges for women, obviously dealing with pregnancy, postpartum stuff in regards to fitness. That's a whole different animal. But for men, not so much, right? What the way it should be is, men grow up, get older, and then most of them are going to get married and have kids. And also men in the prime of their lives, which yes includes 30, 40, even older, should definitely be in good shape, right? That shouldn't be that abnormal, right? And most grown men old enough to have enough experience to be established in their field, someone to listen to about something like fitness, would also have kids. So that just shouldn't be the special thing. But unfortunately, these days it kind of is. But it really isn't kids that are the problem again, right? One of the playgrounds where I usually take my kids to play is right by a dog park. So I often compare the parents at the playground with the dinks, meaning dual income, no kids, taking their so-called fur babies out to the dog park, and the dinks aren't in any better shape, right? They tend to have more expensive cars, but they're not in better physical shape. And why would they be? They've basically just given up and embraced temporary materialism. So what's there to take care of, really? So the kids really aren't the problem. People in general, whether they're parents or dinks, they're addicted to unsatiating food products that they don't lift, but the kids aren't really having that much impact on the lifting. Some, obviously, but not that much. And on the food side, they have basically none, right? So it's still possible to, get in good shape, and it'd be way more possible if the economy wasn't so terrible, but it really isn't the kids. So don't blame the kids, is where I'm going with all that, right? Anyway, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I think it's related and worth saying. So if you're a dad or soon to be a dad, you're definitely going to need pants that are comfortable and flexible, whether you go hiking to the playground or whatever you do with your kids. You need to be able to move with the kids, but you also don't want to be wearing sweatpants all the time. You want to have a little bit of presence, a little bit of seriousness, present an image that your kids can look up to, right? So you might as well go ahead and get some barbell apparel jeans, tactical pants, or whatever you prefer, because they're only 19, or sorry, not $19. That would be sick. I wish they were $19, but unfortunately, there's no way that would be possible. They're $99 right now, which is a great deal for the functionality you can get out of them. Not only are they super flexible and durable, I mean, you climb, run, jump, lift, even train mobility in them. They also have nice deep pockets that work even when your kids refuse to share water bottles. So they make you bring, two different water bottles on your hikes, in addition to all the snacks and everything else you need. So anyway, great pants. I've been practicing cartwheels in mine when I take my kids to the playground. They really do work for everything I'm telling you guys about. So thanks to Barbell Apparel for sponsoring this video and also just making good products that I've been enjoying for years. I hope this video helps some of you guys out. I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to post a video again, maybe a little while longer, but be on the lookout. Do the notification thing so you don't miss it. This is definitely something I want to keep doing whenever I get the chance. And if you can show whatever love you can to the algorithm to make sure that I keep a little bit of momentum going there during this, I'd really appreciate it. And, as always, check the link below to see if any of my products are a good fit for you. I'd very much appreciate it. And thank you for watching.